Welcome to Book Summary Podcast, your gateway to personal transformation. Each episode delivers big ideas from the world's most impactful books on mindset, productivity, and success, all in just a few minutes. Ready to turn knowledge into action? Let's get started.
Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a topic that, well, it touches every single one of us every single day. Our emotions. You know that feeling, right? That amazing high when a new idea just clicks, or that sudden plunge into feeling stuck, unmotivated, or just completely unsure.
Yeah, it's such a fundamental part of being human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yet so often we feel completely powerless, almost like our emotions have this sort of mystical, uncontrollable power over us.
It's a really common experience, isn't it? We sort of navigate our lives feeling this intense force, these emotions, but the underlying mechanics, why they pop up, how to actually work with them consciously, that often stays a mystery.
And that's precisely why we wanted to do this deep dive. Our source today is Thibaut Meurisse's Master Your Emotions, a practical guide. And you can kind of think of this as the how-to manual your parents should have given you at birth.
Right, the instruction guide for your mind you never got in school.
Exactly. This book doesn't just promise to show you how emotions work. More importantly, it's really designed to equip you to actually deal with them and maybe even leverage them.
It's a really comprehensive approach, I think. Lots of books touch on emotions, sure, but Meurisse tries to give a complete picture. From the evolutionary roots all the way to practical application. It's about empowering you to move beyond just reacting.
So our mission today is to unpack the most crucial nuggets of knowledge and the practical tools from this guide. We're going to explore what emotions really are, what factors have a huge impact on them, practical strategies you can actually use to change them, and crucially, how you can use your emotions as tools for personal growth.
Yeah, get ready for some hopefully surprising facts and maybe a few aha moments along the way.
We hope it'll leave you better equipped to navigate your own inner world. Okay, so let's start peeling back those layers. What are emotions, fundamentally? Starting with, their evolutionary roots. It seems like it all comes back to our survival mechanism shaping everything.
It's so critical to grasp this first point. Your brain's primary job isn't actually to make you happy. Its core function, refined over millions of years, is simply survival, keeping you alive.
Right.
I mean, when you think about how unlikely it is that any of us or even hear generations of ancestors successfully dodging death long enough to reproduce, you realize just how incredibly effective that mechanism has been.
And even though most of us aren't dodging, saber-toothed tigers daily,
Hopefully not.
that survival mechanism hasn't really changed much, has it? Our brains are still kind of wired for that ancient world.
They really haven't. And this leads directly to what the book calls a hardwired bias towards negativity. Your brain still gives way more weight to negative stuff than positive stuff.
Okay.
Think about the fear of rejection, for example. Historically, being rejected by your tribe, that was a massive threat. It could mean isolation, starvation, exposure, a death sentence, basically.
So today, even minor rejections, maybe some criticism from your boss, can trigger this really intense emotional pain. And our minds just run with it, right? We're dramatizing.
Totally. It escalates. What if I get fired? Then my wife leaves me. What about the kids? I'll never see them again. It goes from zero to existential crisis in seconds.
It's amazing how fast that spiral can happen.
Precisely. And the book gives this great example of an author gets 55-star reviews, feels great, right? But then gets one single one-star review and feels terrible.
Oh, yeah. I have to imagine that.
It just shows how one criticism can completely overshadow hundreds of positive things. Your brain, your sort of authorial brain, as the book calls it, sees that one negative review as a threat to the ego, triggers a powerful emotional reaction, even if logically it's not a real threat.
So this mechanism is great for survival, but the book really hammers home that it's our job, our responsibility to tell the difference between real threats and, imaginary ones.
Yeah.
And it promises to teach us how to reprogram your mind. That's a big promise, the idea that we can actually learn to counteract this deep-seated bias.
And what's fascinating, too, is how modern life often kind of exploits these ancient mechanisms, especially around dopamine.
Ah, the reward chemical.
Exactly. Dopamine used to be directly linked to survival, finding food, reproducing, things like that. But now its release can be artificially generated. It's often pretty obsolete in a lot of modern contexts.
Yeah, the book points straight at social media, doesn't it? Those constant notifications, the likes.
Perfect exploitation. Those little pings are designed for dopamine hits. Keep you scrolling, keep you engaged, because, the longer you're connected, the more money they make.
What's the same engine behind gambling, pornography too, right?
Yeah.
Makes them highly addictive.
Absolutely. And the consequences can be devastating. The book shares that really sad story of Lee Sung-soop, the guy who died back in 2005 after playing a video game for 58 hours straight.
Oh, wow. 58 hours.
Yeah. He chose that constant stimulation over basic needs like food and water. It just starkly highlights how severe dopamine addiction can be in our world. It really makes you question, what we prioritize.
It really does make you pause. And the book encourages you, the listener, to think about your own addictions. Maybe obvious ones like your phone, TV, video games, or maybe more subtle ones like, are you addicted to just thinking and worrying?
Because those things, the book warns, can subtly or maybe not so subtly rob you of your happiness.
Okay, this leads us nicely to another illusion the book tackles, the one day I will myth.
Ah, yes. The happily ever after fallacy.
Right, that widespread belief that if you just achieve that one big dream, get the perfect job, buy the dream house, you'll reach this state of, permanent joy.
And the book is pretty blunt. It says that's simply unlikely to happen.
And this is where that concept of hedonic adaptation comes in, which is just fascinating.
It really is. It's that amazing ability your mind has to just quickly get used to new situations. The excitement of the new car, the new house, it just wears off.
Your brain adapts. It's not built to sustain that artificial high. It's like your internal happiness thermostat just resets itself.
Exactly. And there's that eye-opening study cited from 1978 lottery winners and paraplegics. You know this one.
I think I've heard of it. Remind me.
Well, it found that a year after their massive life-altering event, winning the lottery or becoming paralyzed, both groups were, on average, just as happy as they were beforehand.
Wow. That's kind of shocking, actually.
It really suggests that our external circumstances have a surprisingly limited long-term impact on our overall happiness. It's a powerful, counterintuitive finding.
So what does this mean for us, then, if external stuff only accounts for a small part?
Well, Sanja Lubomyrsky, who wrote The How of Happiness, found roughly 50% of our happiness seems to come from genetics, a huge 40% from internal factors, our thoughts, attitudes, actions, and only about 10% from external factors.
Only 10%?
Yeah. It really emphasizes that your attitude, your internal world, not what happens to you, is the main driver of your happiness. It's all about perspective.
Okay, so we've got the survival instincts, the negativity bias, dopamine, hedonic adaptation. Now let's dig into another huge player the book talks about. The ego. This word gets thrown around a lot, right? Like, he has a big ego, meaning he's arrogant or something.
Yeah, that's the common usage, but the book clarifies it's much more than just pride. It's a far more pervasive and fundamental part of how we see ourselves. The ego, as described here, is the self-identity you've constructed throughout your life, mainly through your thoughts.
Constructed, okay.
And critically, it has no concrete reality. It's a mind-made thing, a construct, not an inherent truth about who you really are.
Whoa, that's a big thought. If the ego is just a construction, then events themselves don't have inherent meaning, do they?
Not really. They only get meaning through your interpretation. And the ego plays a massive role in shaping that interpretation.
How so?
Well, the ego, much like the brain's survival instinct, is described as kind of a selfish entity. It's mainly concerned with its own survival, its own continuation. It's restless, always pushing you to do, have, and achieve great things so you can become a somebody.
Okay, so it wants to build itself up, strengthen its identity.
Exactly. And it does this by identifying with various objects.
Objects like
Things.
things, yes, but also concepts, roles, beliefs. These are the identification objects the book talks about. They're how we create our story about who we are. It starts with physical items.
Right. Consumerism. Capitalism feeds this, the book argues.
Yeah, it suggests our society encourages the ego's need to identify with things. We buy clothes, cars, gadgets, not just for utility, but to tell a story about ourselves, enhance our status, look cool,
We've all done that.
Sure. But the core issue isn't the items themselves, it's the attachment. The book clearly states things can't fulfill you. The ego tricks us into thinking our value comes from what we own, not from within.
Okay, so physical stuff. What else? Our body. How much self-worth do people derive from their physical appearance? A lot, often. This leads to a strong identification with the body and also with physical and emotional pain related to it. The book introduces this idea of observing your body without identifying with it, just seeing it as a physical form, not you. That's a big shift.
That is a big shift. Okay, what other objects?
Friends and acquaintances. How often do we seek approval from others? Parents, boss, spouse. That's often an ego play. Looking for external validation to prop up that internal constructed identity, a constant need for applause.
That makes sense. It seems especially clear in parent-child relationships sometimes.
The book calls it a false belief that children are possessions. This can lead to parents trying to control their kids' lives, sometimes living vicariously through them.
Like those parents screaming the loudest at the junior soccer games.
Exactly. That's often an unconscious, ego-driven thing. Same in couples. That feeling of needing someone can also be framed as an ego play. The author quotes Anthony DeMello saying, "Loneliness is not cured by human company. Loneliness is cured by contact with reality, by understanding that we don't need people."
Implying true connection comes from wholeness, not ego-driven neediness.
That seems to be the idea. And then there are beliefs. This one's huge.
Religious, political.
All of them. Metaphysical beliefs, too. The ego uses these to strengthen its identity. The book gives the extreme example of people ready to die to protect them or even kill people who disagree. That shows the intense attachment the ego forms around ideas. They become who we are.
Wow. And the book lists other things too, right? Name, gender, nationality, job, even our problems.
Yeah, the list goes on. Culture, family, personal story, age, social status, roles, desires. It's a whole inventory of how we define ourselves, often without even realizing it.
So what are the ego's main characteristics then? How do we spot it in action?
Well, it equates having with being. It lives through comparison, always measuring itself against others. It's never satisfied, always wanting more status, more stuff, more recognition, and its self-worth depends heavily on what others think. It's basically this relentless engine searching for external validation.
And it uses tricks or stratagems to feel superior.
Yes, like enhancing its value by associating with smart or famous people, or gossiping, feeling superior by putting others down. Even manifesting an inferiority complex can, paradoxically, hide a desire to be better than others.
And a superiority complex hides the fear of not being good enough.
Exactly. Then there's seeking fame, the illusion of superiority, and, oh, this is a good one, needing to be right.
Ah, yes. We all know that one.
The book makes the sobering point that everybody, from Adolf Hitler to Nelson Mandela, believe they're doing the right thing, shows the ego's power in justifying anything.
Complaining too. That's an ego thing.
According to the book, yes. It's believing I am right and others are wrong, even if the other is the table you just bumped into. And seeking attention maybe through dramatic actions, eccentric clothes, tattoos. That's the ego trying to stand out, get noticed. It all comes back to validation.
So tying this all back to our emotions, what's the takeaway?
The conclusion is that strong identification with your current story, your ego, is really the root of many of the negative emotions you experience. Like getting upset when life doesn't match your story, or getting defensive when your precious beliefs are challenged.
And the promise is, if you can change your story, detach from that ego identification.
You'll likely experience more positive emotions. It's about shifting that sense of identity.
Okay, let's dive into the emotions themselves now, the core mechanics. The first big point the book makes, and this feels really important, is that emotions are transient. They come and go.
That's absolutely foundational. Expecting to be happy all the time, for instance, that just sets you up for failure. It's crucial to learn to let emotions pass through without feeling the need to identify strongly with them.
So stop the self-blame, like, I shouldn't be feeling sad right now.
Exactly. Don't fall into that trap. Sadness, grief, disappointment, insecurity, these are all totally normal parts of being human. They aren't signs of weakness or failure.
And this leads to another key idea. Negative emotions aren't inherently bad or useless.
Right. Despite that inner voice maybe telling us they are, the book is clear. Emotions are simply emotions, nothing more. Being depressed doesn't make you less of a person. It's usually our interpretation of the emotion and the sort of blame game we play around it that creates the real suffering, not the emotion itself.
In fact, the book argues they can play a positive role.
A very positive role, potentially. It uses a great analogy. Compare negative emotions to physical pain. Physical pain signals something's wrong, you need a doctor, maybe change your diet. Emotions, similarly, signal you to do something about your current situation.
Like what?
Maybe they're telling you to let go of certain people or quit that job you hate or examine and remove a disempowering belief you're holding on to. They're messengers. Listen to them.
That's a much more constructive way to look at it. The book even mentions people like Elon Musk having a breakdown or Abraham Lincoln dealing with depression.
Yeah, suggesting that even for incredibly successful or resilient people, these low points had their role to play in your ultimate success. These tough experiences can actually be catalysts for growth.
And it comes back to that fleeting nature no matter how bad it feels.
This shall pass. We can all look back at intense emotional periods in our past and realize, yeah, they eventually ended. Now, if the same emotions keep popping up again and again, that's a strong signal that some underlying disempowering beliefs need to be addressed.
But it's important to add that caveat the book mentions.
Absolutely vital. If you suffer from severe chronic depression, it might be a good idea to consult a specialist. This isn't about dismissing serious mental health conditions.
Okay. Now, something I find really tricky about emotions is how they act like a filter on reality.
Oh, completely. When you're in a negative state, it just taints the quality of your experiences, doesn't it? Food tastes bland, you've got no energy, zero motivation.
But when you're feeling positive, everything seems better. Same world, different lens.
And here's the kicker. This isn't always because external factors changed. The book highlights that your external conditions, same job, same money, same problems, can stay exactly the same, yet you feel radically different emotionally.
So what did change?
The only thing that changes is your internal dialogue, your thoughts. The book encourages really consciously noticing this trickery, maybe even journaling about it. That shift can be purely internal.
Which brings us to that key takeaway from the author's own experience. You are not your emotions.
Yeah, he admits being fooled by his own feelings for years, but then having this realization that emotions always come and go, but I remain, that's a powerful distinction. You are the witness, the constant presence, not the fleeting feeling itself.
Eckhart Tolle is quoted talking about the evil power of emotions.
Right, saying an emotion is often an amplified, energized thought pattern, and it wants to take you over. This happens when you keep identifying with your thoughts, especially if they feed your personal story. Like if your story is, I'm not good enough, that thought attracts feelings of guilt or shame, which then fuels more not good enough thoughts. It's a feedback loop.
And this filtering power drastically affects our energy levels, right?
Massively. Positive state, more energy, confidence, openness, resilience, creativity, access to more positive feelings. It literally expands your capacity.
Negative state. Less energy, less confidence, less motivation, reluctance to face challenges, less perseverance, and, a tendency to attract more negative thoughts.
Exactly. The author gives this really vivid side-by-side comparison from his own life, feeling excited about his online business versus feeling mildly depressed about lack of results under the exact same external conditions. It powerfully shows how that internal filter shapes not just feelings, but thoughts and actions too.
And then there's the magnetic power of emotions. This is fascinating.
Yeah, the idea that emotions attract thoughts on the same wave, creating a vicious circle. Thinking and feeling just feed each other. Tolle is quoted on this again. So a bad mood isn't just a bad mood. It's like this magnet pulling in more negativity.
Like a rough day at work suddenly makes you think about how you're single, and maybe you're overweight, and your job actually sucks anyway.
Exactly. One negative feeling attracts a whole cluster of others. The solution, the book stresses, is to break that habit, to remove the habit of clustering negative thoughts together.
The author mentions his knee problems doing this. Physical pain triggering unrelated negative thoughts.
Right. His solution was to consciously compartmentalize your issues, to remember that the feelings about work or his personal life triggered by the knee pain exist only in your mind. It's about breaking those artificial links.
Okay, this links to emotional accessibility too, right?
Yeah.
And the set point idea. Like why you can't just force positive thoughts when you're feeling really down.
Precisely. Your mind just isn't receptive in that state. The book brings in Esther and Jerry Hicks's emotional ladder model. Think of depression and hopelessness at the very bottom rung. But anger, that's actually a step up the ladder.
Anger is a step up. That sounds counterintuitive.
Because it brings more energy. The author shares how, after being depressed, feeling angry actually helped him. He could use that anger energy as fuel to complete the tasks I had been avoiding. It helped him climb the emotional ladder.
So the advice is to accept any emotional state that gives you more energy, even if it feels negative like anger, because it's movement.
As long as it's moving you up from a lower energy state, yes. It's about progress, not perfection.
Okay, let's talk about emotions and mental suffering. The book states pretty directly that you create a lot of unnecessary pain in your life by clinging to thoughts and emotions.
Yeah, it uses the physical pain example again. The pain itself is a sensation. but interpreting it, what if it never goes away? What if it's serious? That's what creates the mental suffering. You can often function with the pain if you stop dwelling on the worries about the pain.
It's same with procrastination, isn't it? The worry about the task is often way more exhausting than actually doing the task.
Absolutely. Or sleep deprivation, telling yourself today's going to be a rough day, mentally creates exhaustion before you even start. Our internal narrative is incredibly powerful.
There's that Dale Carnegie quote in there, too.
From Dr. A.A. Brill, yeah. 100% of the fatigue of the sedentary worker in good health is due to psychological factors. 100%. That's staggering.
It really underscores how much suffering is self-inflicted. The book suggests many of us are actually addicted to our problems.
Constantly complaining, playing the victim, blaming others, endlessly discussing problems without ever solving them. It's a pattern. The solution offered is to simply refuse to interpret our emotions in a negative and disempowering way.
And this leads to a really deep, almost philosophical point. Why problems don't really exist.
This is a challenging concept, but potentially liberating. It argues, first, that what you don't focus on doesn't exist. A problem only has power when you give it your attention.
The example was about losing your legs, if you just accept it instantly and refuse to dwell on it.
The book argues there will be no problem and thus no mental suffering. Radical acceptance, essentially. It also posits that a problem exists only in time, the past or the future, which only exist in your mind. Thoughts exist in time. The present moment doesn't.
And finally, a problem needs to be labeled as a problem by you.
Right. It only exists when you interpret a situation as problematic. Otherwise, there is no problem. The book admits this might be hard to fully grasp, but calls it a key theory for mastering your emotions. It shifts the power back to your interpretation.
Okay, so we've really unpacked the nature of emotions. Now let's get practical. What impacts our emotions? What are the levers we can pull?
Right. The overview here is that powerful GAGO principle, garbage in, garbage out, applies to your mind just like a computer.
Meaning what you feed your mind determines your emotional output.
Largely, yes. Most emotions, apart from those immediate survival reactions, are either self-created through thought or come from your interpretation. But the book stresses that other factors have a huge impact too. Your body, your thoughts, your words, sleep, environment, even music.
Let's start with a big one. Sleep. We all know lack of sleep makes us grumpy, right?
Definitely. We've all felt it, inability to concentrate, feeling listless, finding it harder to deal with negative stuff. It's a direct, undeniable link between sleep and mood.
And the stats back it up.
Oh yeah. A survey showed most people with anxiety or depression get less than 6 hours of sleep. That 2016 RAND Europe study found a 13% increased mortality risk for those getting under 6 hours. Plus, it costs the U.S. economy hundreds of billions annually.
Wow. And critically, it reduces our ability to enjoy positive things too.
Exactly. It literally drains your capacity for joy. It makes everything feel flatter.
So how do we improve sleep quality? The book gives practical tips.
Very practical. First, darkness. Make your bedroom pitch black, blackout curtains, sleep mask, whatever it takes. Second, avoid electronic devices before bed. Smartphones, tablets, TVs, they emit blue light that messes with your brain's sleep signals.
That study comparing e-readers to physical books was interesting.
Yeah, the 2014 PNAS study. E-readers meant a 50% drop in melatonin, took longer to fall asleep, less deep sleep, less alert in the morning. If you must use devices, the book suggests blue light blocking glasses.
What else? Relaxing the mind.
Right. Soothing music, maybe reading a physical book, but not something too exciting that keeps you wired.
Okay.
Also, watch hydration, avoid too much water right before bed to prevent bathroom trips.
And consistency is key, right? An evening ritual.
Super important. Try to go to bed around the same time every night, even on weekends if possible. If you do stay up late on a weekend, maybe still wake up at the usual time and grab a nap later. Consistency helps regulate your body clock.
Okay, next lever. Using your body to influence your emotions. This feels powerful, but maybe overlooked sometimes.
It's huge. Amy Cuddy's quote nails it. Our bodies change our minds change our behavior, and our behavior changes our outcomes. It's a complete feedback loop.
Her power pose study is famous for this, isn't
It
it?
really demonstrates it clearly. Just adopting a high power pose, think expansive body language, standing tall for 2 minutes led to measurable hormonal changes, increased testosterone, decreased cortisol, and increased risk-taking.
While low power poses, like slouching, had the opposite effect.
Exactly. It really shows that fake it until you make it isn't just psychological, it's physiological too. Your body posture can directly shift your mental and emotional state.
And it works the other way, too. A negative posture can create negative feelings.
Yeah, the book shares that intense example from David K. Reynolds in Constructive Living. He deliberately induced clinical depression in himself simply by adopting the physical posture slouched, head down, and repeating negative phrases.
That's incredible. It shows how much our physical actions affect our mood. Posture isn't just reflecting mood, it can actually create it.
Which leads naturally to exercise. Michael Otto's quote is great. Failing to exercise when you feel bad is like explicitly not taking an aspirin when your head hurts.
And Reynolds used exercise to recover from that self-induced depression.
He had to force himself into physical activity. It was a physical intervention for a mental state. And science backs this up.
The Duke University study.
Right, James Blumenthal's study found exercise can treat mild to moderate depression just as effectively as antidepressants. Plus, those who kept exercising had lower depression scores a year later, suggesting it helps prevent relapse too.
That's amazing. And you don't need to become a marathon runner, right?
Not at all. The book emphasizes that even 30 minutes of walking 5 days a week can make a big difference. Some research even suggests moderate exercise adds years to your lifespan. And the benefits are both immediate, like a mood boost, within just 5 minutes and long term.
Okay, moving on to another powerful lever. Using your thoughts. This feels more intuitive, maybe.
It's certainly well-known wisdom, Emerson. You become what you think about all day long, Brian Tracy. Focus our conscious mind on things we desire, not things we fear. Our thoughts shape our reality.
And meditation is a key tool here. Taming the monkey mind.
Exactly. That Buddhist concept of the mind constantly jumping around. Meditation helps you become aware of those thoughts, create some distance, observe them without getting swept away. This reduces their power and negative impact, leading to more inner peace. It's about observation, not suppression.
And visualization. How does that work?
The idea is that your subconscious mind can't clearly distinguish real experiences from fake ones. So by vividly imagining desired experiences, feeling gratitude, excitement, joy, you can essentially trick your mind into feeling those emotions. It's like a mental rehearsal that conditions positive states.
Okay, thoughts. What about words? How do words influence emotions?
The book explains they're all interconnected words, thoughts, behaviors. They impact each other in a cycle. So the language you use, both internally and externally, really matters.
You can see it in confidence levels, right? Saying, I'll try versus I will.
Absolutely. Self-doubting language like I'll try, I hope, I wish can actually reduce your confidence, while confident words I will, absolutely, definitely can actively boost it. The book even gives lists of words to avoid versus words to use to empower yourself.
Positive affirmations fit in here.
Yes, defined as sentences you repeat regularly until your subconscious accepts them as true. It's about conditioning your mind for confidence, gratitude, or whatever state you desire.
And there are specific ways to do them effectively.
Yeah, use present tense, I am, not I will be. Avoid negatives. Say, I am confident, not I'm not shy. Repeat them daily, maybe for 5 minutes, really feeling the emotion and visualizing it. Examples. I love being confident. I am independent of the good or bad opinions of others, or even looking in the mirror and saying, I love you, your name.
Tony Robbins takes it further with incantations, right? Using body language, too.
Exactly. He uses powerful body language while saying affirmations to reach a state of absolute certainty before big events. It reinforces the words by engaging the body, tying back to that mind-body connection.
Fascinating. Okay, what about breathing? Seems basic, but the book says it's crucial.
More essential than food or sleep, right? Yet many of us don't breathe properly. We take shallow breaths, which leads to less energy and can actually make us more prone to negative emotions. It's fundamental.
And proper breathing has specific benefits.
Profound ones. Slow breathing, as detailed in Breathwalk, can bring stress relief, heighten awareness, visual clarity, and even dramatically calm anxiety and fear, depending on the pace. Different cycles per minute offer different benefits.
And faster breathing techniques.
Like breath of fire, yeah. Those can release stress quickly, boost alertness, and give you a shot of energy. The book basically encourages you to explore breathing techniques. There are tons of resources out there.
Okay, environment. How does our environment affect our emotions?
It's defined broadly everything around you. People you hang out with, the TV you watch, the state of your home or workspace, it all feeds into your mood.
Like negative relatives dragging you down? Or a messy desk just feeling demotivating?
Exactly. The author shares that sometimes just decluttering his desk, cleaning his room, or organizing computer files gives him a boost of motivation when he's feeling stuck. It shows that small changes in your immediate surroundings can have a noticeable impact.
So even just changing one or two things that drain you could help.
Potentially, yes. Removing or changing even small counterproductive activities or environmental factors can improve your mood.
And finally, music. We all kind of know music affects mood, right?
Absolutely. Think of your workout playlist, Rocky's theme. Music can relax us, motivate us, help us persevere, access feelings like gratitude, and generally create positive states. It's a powerful, direct emotional lever for many people.
And studies confirm this.
Definitely. One study found people felt more positive after listening to upbeat music for just 12 minutes, a few times a week, but they had to actively try to boost their mood while listening. Intention matters.
Interesting.
Another study found music reduced negative moods and boosted self-esteem, improving emotional expression and communication skills. And a Penn State study found music intensified positive feelings regardless of genre or context. Rock, classical, driving, socializing, it worked.
So the book encourages us to use music intentionally, like creating playlists.
Yeah, playlists tailored to your emotional needs, conditioning your mind with music. Christopher Berglund, the endurance athlete, used music and imagination to create an invincible state of mind, a parallel universe, to stay optimistic during grueling races.
But it's personal, right? What works for one person might not work for another.
Totally individual. Musical taste varies wildly. The key is to choose music that makes you feel the way you want to feel. Just keep experimenting, find your own emotional soundtracks.
All right, we've covered the what and the what impacts. Now for the real core. How do we actually change our emotions? This feels like the heart of the book.
It really is. This section focuses on dealing with negative emotions when they arise and actively conditioning your mind for more positive ones. It starts with that powerful Eckhart Tolle quote again.
About identification with the mind causing suffering.
Exactly. The more you are identified with your mind, the more you suffer. The more you are able to honor and accept the goatee. Now, the more you are free of pain, of suffering, and free of the egoic mind.
It sets the stage. The goal is liberation from identification.
So how are emotions formed? Especially the sticky negative ones. The book makes a distinction.
Right. Two types of negative emotions. First, the spontaneous ones, those instinctual survival reactions. Think fear of that saber-toothed tiger, immediate reactive.
And the second type.
These are the crucial ones for this discussion. Self-created emotions.
Yeah.
The ones you generate by identifying with your thoughts. And these tend to last much longer.
And there's a process for how they get created and stick around. A simple but often sneaky process. It goes like this. A random thought pops into your head. You identify with that thought, believe it. This creates an emotional reaction. Then, if you keep identifying with it, keep feeding it attention, the emotion gets stronger and stronger until it can become a core emotion.
The examples are so relatable. Worrying about money problems gets worse the more you identify with anxious thoughts about money.
Or replaying an argument in your head over and over, making resentment build for weeks or months. Shame over a mistake at work getting stronger every time you revisit the thought. The book's point is crucial. When you give thoughts room to exist, they spread.
So it boils down to a formula.
A core formula for understanding how strong emotions take hold. Interpretation plus identification plus repetition, strong emotion.
Okay, break that down. Interpretation.
That's how you view an event or thought based on your personal story, your beliefs, your expectations. Why do two people react differently to rain? The farmer sees a blessing. The person planning a picnic sees a problem. It's their interpretation.
And negative emotions arise because reality fails to meet your expectations.
That's the core idea. Reality itself, the book argues, can never be upsetting. It's our interpretation, our story about reality that causes the upset.
Okay, interpretation. Then identification.
For an emotion to really stick around and cause trouble, there must be a process of identification. The more you focus on it, the more you believe this feeling is me, the more powerful it becomes.
This is where you are not your emotions comes in again.
Exactly. It's so fundamental. The book uses those great analogies. You're the sun, always there, even when hidden by clouds, emotions. Or emotions are like clothes you wear, you can change them. They aren't your fundamental being.
And the key is disengagement. Don't give the emotion attention.
Right. An emotion starved of attention will eventually fade. The book suggests a simple exercise. Next time you're angry, consciously get busy with something requiring total focus. See how the anger dissipates compared to dwelling on it, which makes it grow? redirect your focus.
Interpretation, identification, and the last part is repetition.
Repeating that cycle. Interpreting an event negatively, identifying with the feeling, then thinking about it again and again. This conditions your mind to experience these specific emotions more easily in the future. It builds a habit, strengthens the neural pathway for that emotion.
Like focusing on how a friend betrayed you builds resentment, but just observing the thought allows it to pass.
Precisely. We often unconsciously build these habits that keep negative emotions alive.
So if interpretation is the first step, how do we change our interpretation? That seems like the main leverage point.
It really is. Because, again, the event or thought itself has no inherent power. The emotion comes from your interpretation. Change the interpretation, you change the emotion. That's why one person sees a problem, another sees an opportunity in the exact same situation.
And our interpretations are tied to our underlying assumptions about life.
Deeply. The book lists common assumptions and directly challenges them, like the assumption, problems should be avoided.
What if they're necessary challenges?
Yeah.
Or opportunities? What if life is about learning how to dance in the rain?
Right. Or the assumption this is a problem, what if it's actually not a big deal? Or an opportunity in disguise. It encourages questioning everything.
Even things like, I should be healthy.
Yeah, challenging that sense of entitlement. Maybe view health as a blessing, not a default state. Or I'll live until I'm 70. Maybe see lifespan itself as a gift, regardless of length. Even I must get married is questioned as often just cultural programming or parental expectation.
And it challenges complaining again, calling it an ego play.
Yes, and challenges you to try a week without complaining. It also tackles dwelling on the past. It only exists in your mind, can't be changed. And worrying about the future doesn't help focus on present action.
So it really pushes you, the listener, to analyze your own patterns. So you play the victim. Do you embrace opportunities? Do you fight the unchangeable? The difference between happy and unhappy people often lies right here in their interpretation.
It's a powerful area for self-reflection.
Okay, so we've interpreted, identified, repeated, maybe negatively. How do we then let go of these emotions? The book says repressing them is bad.
Very bad. It explains emotions are energy in motion. Trying to stuff them down or ignore them interrupts the natural flow. They don't disappear, they just sink deeper into your subconscious, potentially becoming ingrained patterns like feeling not good enough or chronic guilt.
This leads to emotional baggage.
Exactly. Most of us carry way too much. We need to declutter our subconscious. Our subconscious is already programmed for survival. It doesn't need to store all these old, unprocessed emotions.
And letting go requires reconnecting with the body, becoming more aware of the physical sensations of emotions.
That's the key. You can't let go of something you aren't aware of. Getting in touch with your body helps you feel the emotion directly without getting lost in the mental story about it.
So what are the steps to letting go?
Simple but profound. First, observe with detachment. When a negative emotion comes up, just watch it. Feel the physical sensations in your body. Notice the thoughts and images, but recognize they are interpretations, not the emotion itself. Locate it, describe it, but don't engage with the story. Don't believe the thoughts it brings.
Second step.
Label your emotion correctly. Remember, emotions are temporary experiences. They are not you. So instead of saying, I am angry, try, I feel angry, or I experience a feeling of sadness right now. This creates crucial distance. It detaches you from identification.
Makes sense. Third.
Let go of attachment. Why do we cling to these feelings, even negative ones? Often because they've become part of our story, our identity. We might even believe these emotions are us.
The author shared his own example of letting go of the not good enough story.
Yeah, and the tremendous value he gained, releasing the need to be right, the pride, the victim mentality. It acknowledges letting go can be hard because these emotions feel familiar, they're part of our identity, maybe even provide a kind of twisted pleasure.
Wow, twisted pleasure. Okay, and the final tool mentioned is the Sedona method.
Right, Hale-Dwoskins technique. It's a simple 5-step questioning process to help release feelings. The core is asking yourself one of 3 questions about the feeling. Could I let this feeling go? Or could I allow this feeling to be here? Or could I welcome this feeling?
Then you ask, would I?
Yeah, and answer honestly yes or no. Even answering no is useful because it highlights resistance. Then you ask when, and the answer is always now. You repeat this cycle as needed.
And the book stresses not to dismiss it as too simple.
Absolutely. Try it sincerely. It can really help you experience directly that you are not your emotions and give you a practical way to release them.
Okay, we've dealt with negative emotions. Now, how do we actively condition our minds for more positive emotions?
This comes back to that ancient wisdom again. What you think, you become. Buddha. We become what we think about all day long, Emerson. A man is but the product of his thoughts. Gandhi. James Allen on the rapid transformation from changing thoughts. It's a recurring theme for a reason.
Because of that feedback loop. Thoughts create emotions, emotions create more thoughts.
Exactly. Thinking I'm not good enough generates shame guilt. That feeling then attracts more not good enough thoughts. And this whole internal state dictates your actions. Maybe you don't ask for that promotion or don't ask that person out. Thoughts and emotions drive behavior.
And this relates to our unique human ability imagination, using it to shape the future.
Yes, but thoughts alone aren't enough. They need to be fueled with an energy in the form of emotion, enthusiasm, excitement, belief to actually manifest into reality. Successful people, the book argues, focus on what they want with positive expectation. Unsuccessful people tend to focus on what they lack. The emotional fuel makes the difference.
It talks about depositing positive thoughts, like building a bank account.
Kind of. Confident people regularly deposit positive thoughts. They celebrate small wins, practice self-compassion, treat themselves with respect. People with low self-esteem often do the opposite. They bombard their mind with disempowering thoughts, dismissing accomplishments. The book asks, who is better off? It's obvious.
But it also includes a reality check about positive thinking. It's not magic.
Right. It acknowledges that just chanting, I'm happy, won't fix everything or magically erase negative emotions. You still need the tools to deal with negativity when it arises, especially if you're deeply addicted to your story, like believing I am fundamentally flawed or I'll never be happy. It's not about delusion. It's about skillful means.
So how do we consciously choose and cultivate positive emotions? Using neuroscience.
Yeah, the principle that repeatedly experiencing certain thoughts and emotions literally strengthens those neural pathways, making them easier to access in the future, like building a muscle. And the formula for positive conditioning, it's the same one. Interpretation plus identification plus repetition, strong emotion.
But applied positively this time.
Exactly. Interpretation becomes visualizing positive events or generating positive thoughts. Identification becomes actively feeling the desired emotions using techniques like affirmations and visualization. And repetition means consistently doing this to make those positive emotional states your default, easily accessible pathways.
The book gives specific practices for this. Let's touch on a few. Gratitude.
Huge one. Make it a daily routine. Jim Rohn. Our emotions need to be as educated as our intellect. Exercises include writing down at least 3 things you're grateful for each day, or mentally thanking people you met, or even appreciating a simple object like a chair and all that went into its creation.
Excitement. How do you cultivate that?
Especially when feeling stuck in a rut. Visualize your desires. Exercises. Write a what I want list. Visualize specific goals vividly, career, relationships. Create a goals or dreams journal with pictures. Imagine your ideal day in sensory detail. What does breakfast feel like? Who are you with?
Confidence and certainty.
Practice visualizing having already achieved your goals. Feel the good feelings now. Commit to your vision in your mind. Give it the energy of commitment. Develop a sense of knowing it's going to happen.
Self-esteem. Tracking accomplishments seems key here.
Definitely. Counteract that negativity bias. Use a win log list, 50 big life accomplishments, then add 5-10 small daily wins. Or the self-esteem jar, write wins on colorful papers, put them in a visible jar. Or a positive journal, write down every compliment you receive, assume it's genuine, review it daily.
And decisiveness. Using the 5-second rule.
Yeah, Mel Robbins' rule. Act within 5 seconds of having an impulse or idea before your brain talks you out of it. Great for breaking inertia on small actions, like introducing yourself or sending that email. The exercise is to list tasks you've procrastinated on and commit to using the rule for a week.
And the book warns against common mistakes, like trying too much too soon.
Absolutely. Avoid trying to implement dozens of changes at once or starting with massive, overwhelming goals. It emphasizes this is a long-term game, a marathon, not a sprint. Consistency over intensity is the key. Small steps, repeated daily.
Okay, this brings us to the final section. How to actually use our emotions to grow, leveraging them as tools.
Right. The core idea here is that emotions aren't just things to be managed or changed, they are messengers, guides. And remember, the problem is never reality, but the way you interpret it. This means you have the power to find meaning, even joy, in the toughest situations.
The examples given are incredibly powerful. Alice Summer finding laughter in a concentration camp.
Inspiring her son through music and spirit. Or Nick Vujicic, born without limbs, wondering how he could ever be a husband, and now a happy husband, father, and inspirational speaker. These stories show profound resilience, the power of interpretation, and the transient nature of even the worst feelings. Even a breakdown can be a wake-up call.
So how do emotions guide us? What are they telling us?
They're telling you your current interpretation of reality is biased or something needs attention. If you ignore the message, the book says it just gets louder, starts as a whisper, maybe becomes a gut feeling. Eventually, your body might start talking through physical pain or illness.
Stress is a perfect example of this signaling.
Exactly. Stress signals a need for change. Maybe change the situation, move away, improve it, or change your interpretation of it. Ignoring chronic stress, as we know, can lead to severe health issues. Emotional suffering fundamentally means something is wrong with your mind, your interpretation, your focus. It's an internal alarm.
And understanding this requires self-awareness.
Absolutely crucial. Defined here as the ability to observe objectively your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without adding your own interpretation or story. You can't fix a problem if you don't even realize it exists or if you're looking at it through a distorted lens.
The book introduces a simple model for this, the above or below the line model.
Yeah, from Jim Dethmer and Diana Chapman. Super simple, super useful. Imagine a horizontal line. You're either operating above the line, open, curious, willing to learn, conscious, in a positive state, creative, collaborative, or you're below the line, closed, defensive, wanting to be right, unconscious, protecting your ego, focused on survival.
So above is about learning and connection. Below is about protection and being right.
That's a good summary. Examples of being above: asking genuine questions, really listening, feeling your emotions without reacting, taking responsibility, questioning your own beliefs. Below the line: clinging to your opinion, finding fault, arguing, rationalizing, gossiping, seeking validation, attacking the messenger. Recognizing when you slip below the line is key to emotional control.
There's another model, too. Fear versus love.
Right. The idea that throughout the day, all our actions basically stem from one of these two core motivations. Are you acting out of fear or out of love?
Fear-based actions are about getting something.
Usually, yes. Getting approval, attention, money, power, security, protecting yourself.
And love-based actions are about giving.
Yeah. Giving your time, money, love, attention, sharing your unique gifts with the world, contributing.
The actor example illustrates this well.
Right. Wanting to be an actor to get famous, make money, prove your parents wrong, that's fear-based, ego-driven. Wanting to be an actor to entertain people, express yourself creatively, share a story that's love-based, contribution-focused.
And the invitation is to become self-aware of your motivations and shift from getting to giving.
Exactly. Noticing the underlying driver of your actions and consciously choosing to operate more from a place of love or contribution. It's a fundamental reorientation.
Okay, a very practical first step the book suggests is recording your emotions. Why is this so important?
Hey, because you need awareness before you can change anything. You need to know your starting point. What are you actually feeling day to day? So the exercise is simple. Record your emotions for a whole minute. Use a notebook or worksheet, maybe rate them 1 to 10.
And then analyze the data at the end of the week.
Yes, asking some really insightful questions. What negative emotions came up? What were the hard facts of the situation that triggered them? Not your story, the actual event. What was your interpretation? What beliefs did you need to hold to feel that way? Are those beliefs accurate? How did you get back to neutral? What could you have done differently?
That level of self-reflection seems incredibly valuable. It makes the invisible visible.
Precisely. The book gives a detailed example, feeling mildly depressed about perceived incompetence on a work task. It breaks down the interpretation, I am incompetent, this is unacceptable, versus the reality, asked for help, finished the task, it wasn't a big deal. This helps identify those specific self-defeating behaviors and beliefs.
And just writing down daily feelings in a journal helps too, creates detachment.
Yeah, it helps you see the natural ups and downs, realize they're normal, and detach a bit from the intensity of the moment.
Let's tackle a big one. That feeling of not being good enough seems almost universal.
So common. The author shares his own list of not good enough beliefs. Not a good enough writer, charismatic person, competent, etc., and quotes famous, successful people like Jennifer Lawrence and Meryl Streep, admitting they still feel like a fluke. It shows how pervasive it is.
And it's a sign of low self-esteem, characterized by focusing on flaws.
Yes. Focusing on shortcomings, filtering out or dismissing successes, having trouble accepting compliments, maybe brushing them off, immediately complimenting back, or downplaying the achievement.
And we cling to failures. Why?
Often because they fit your story. We magnify failures and keep a running tally because they confirm that core belief of not being good enough. There's even a strange comfort in that negative certainty sometimes. It's familiar.
So how do we use this feeling to grow? Seems counterintuitive.
First, identify the triggers. When and where do you feel inadequate? What thoughts accompany that feeling? Write them down. Then, crucially, counteract the bias by actively tracking accomplishments.
Like the win log and self-esteem jargon.
Exactly. The win log, 50 life wins plus 5-10 daily wins. The self-esteem jar, visible evidence of accomplishments. The positive journal, recording compliments. These force your brain to acknowledge the positive, to build a more balanced and accurate self-image.
And learning to accept compliments is a big part of this.
A very practical, often challenging part. The book points out that dismissing a compliment is actually kind of disrespectful to the giver. Imagine giving someone a gift and they just push it away.
Good point. So the practice is just
A simple, heartfelt thank you, maybe adding their name, and then just allow the positive feeling to sink in, even if it feels uncomfortable. Recognize that resistance, often pride or vulnerability, is normal, but it's an indicator of where your self-esteem is at.
okay. Moving on, defensiveness. Where does that come from?
Primarily from the desire to protect your story or your ego when you perceive it's being threatened or attacked. The book lists a few reasons, but the core is always protecting that constructed self-image.
The example of political reactions, like to Trump's election, illustrates this well. How core beliefs trigger strong emotions.
Perfectly. Depending on whether your core beliefs align with the Democrats or Republicans, the emotional reaction, tears or rejoicing, was intense. It shows how deeply attached we become to our beliefs and how defensive we get when they're challenged.
So how do we grow from defensiveness? What questions should we ask?
When you feel that defensive reaction rising, pause and ask, what am I trying to protect here? Is this belief actually true or helpful? Can I let go of that belief? What would I be without that belief? This helps detach from disempowering beliefs and often makes you realize you don't even need to defend yourself. The threat isn't real.
Okay, stress and worry. The book makes a bold claim. Stress doesn't exist outside of yourself.
Profound, isn't it? No situation is inherently stressful. Stress is our internal response to a situation, yet it has massive real-world consequences, illness, even death. This distinction is critical. Stress happens inside us.
Which means we have to take responsibility for it.
Exactly. Because if it's internal, it's potentially controllable. You have to take responsibility. You can reduce stress either by avoiding genuinely harmful situations or, more sustainably, by becoming better at dealing with stressful situations, changing your response.
How do we use stress to grow? By reframing.
Yes. List your major stressors. For each one, ask, is this situation stressful in itself? The book says no, it's your interpretation. What do I need to believe to experience stress here? For example, for a traffic jam, there shouldn't be jams. I should be somewhere else. This is terrible.
And then flip it. What would I need to believe to reduce or remove the stress?
Right. Traffic jam. This is a normal event. I don't have to stress. I can't do anything. Might as well relax or listen to something useful. It's about consciously changing the underlying beliefs that trigger the stress response.
And worry is different from stress.
Yeah, stress is about the present moment. Worry is typically about the past, which you can't change, or the future, which you can't fully control. Most worry, therefore, is unnecessary and unproductive.
So the book suggests sorting worries.
A very practical exercise. List everything you worry about. Then divide them into 3 categories. 1, things you have complete control over. Your own actions, choices. 2, things you have some control over, like preparing for an interview, but not the outcome. 3, things you have no control over, weather, economy, other people's actions.
And the strategy is?
Label each worry, C, SC, or NC. For the NC items, actively practice letting go of the urge to worry. It achieves nothing. For C and SC items, instead of worrying, write down concrete actions you can take right now. Focus on action, not anxiety.
Even challenges the no control idea, suggesting we often have more influence than we think.
Yeah. Even with traffic jams, maybe you could leave earlier, take a different route, or reframe it as productive podcast time. It encourages you to always look for ways to change the situation, reframe your interpretation, or eliminate the stressor if possible. Take 100% responsibility for your response.
Okay, next. Caring what people think of you. This is another big one.
Huge. The book starts with a core truth. Everyone is the most important person to themselves. When you're in pain, you're focused on you. But we unconsciously assume others think about us as much as we think about ourselves.
But the liberating truth is,
In fact, for the most part, people do not care about you. Ouch, but also freedom.
Yeah.
It means you don't have to worry so much what people think of you.
There's that great quote.
Yeah. When you're 20, you care what everyone thinks. When you're 40, you stop caring what everyone thinks. And when you're 60, you realize no one was ever thinking about you in the first place. Hilarious, but probably quite true.
People aren't tracking our failures or remembering our awkward moments.
Not really. They're mostly busy thinking about themselves and trying to be the perfect person so everyone likes you. It usually doesn't work. You just end up at the mercy of the approval of others, potentially living a dull life and forgetting to please the most important person, you.
So, what people think of you is none of your business.
Powerful statement. Your job is just to be authentic. Express your true self with good intentions. Influential people are often disliked or criticized. Accepting that not everyone will like you is part of growth.
How do we use this to grow then? Stop being so attached to our self-image.
Exactly. If you're overly self-conscious, you're constantly worrying about how you appear, seeking approval, fearing judgment. The exercise is to list your feels of judgment. Looks, saying something sissy. Ask why you care. What image are you desperately trying to protect?
And recognize that people will interpret us through their own filters anyway.
Always. People will always interpret your words and actions based on their values and beliefs. Therefore, to let your personality shine, you have no choice but to allow them to see you whatever way they wish to. Just be you.
Okay, resentment. What's the definition here?
Basically, anger because someone didn't behave the way you wanted them to. Broken promises, unmet expectations, feeling like you're owed something. It often builds up due to a failure to communicate effectively or an inability to just let go and forgive.
That Nelson Mandela quote is sharp. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies.
Hits hard, doesn't it? And resentment follows that same formula. Interpretation plus identification plus repetition. The friend not inviting you to the party, the resentment builds because you keep replaying your interpretation of the event, identifying with the feeling of betrayal and repeating the thoughts. The interpretation creates the poison.
And not confronting things makes it worse.
Definitely. If you can't or won't confront the situation, especially if you interact with the person regularly, the resentment just festers and grows.
So using resentment to grow means seeing it as an opportunity.
An opportunity to learn forgiveness, learn to let go, and ultimately how to love yourself. The book stresses your peace of mind must become more important than being right, taking revenge, or hating someone else.
Loving yourself means refusing to drink the poison.
Yeah, resentment is poison you consented to drink, weeds you allowed to grow. It sticks around as long as being right feels more important than being peaceful, or as long as you keep feeding it energy. Forgiveness is about reconnecting with the only thing that is real, the present, letting go of the past story.
There's a 4-step process for dealing with it.
Yes, briefly. 1. Change, reevaluate interpretation. Look at the facts, not your drama. Did you misinterpret? 2. Confront the situation. Have an honest talk. If impossible, write an unsent letter to get it out. 3. Forgive. After steps 1 and 2, consciously let go. Remember the cost of holding on. Forgiveness is self-love, detaching from the story. Use the Sedona method if helpful. 4. Forget. Stop replaying the thoughts. Move on. Let recurring thoughts simply pass by without engaging.
Okay, jealousy. Defined as wanting what someone else has or fearing loss of what you think is yours. How do we grow from this?
The book argues jealousy usually stems from the belief you aren't good enough. It comes from a mindset of lack and scarcity, but it can be a useful signal.
How so? It can show you what you really want.
Sometimes, yes. Susan Cain, the author, felt jealous of writers while she was a lawyer. It showed her she was on the wrong path. The book's author had a similar experience being jealous of bloggers. The exercise. Identify who you're jealous of. What does that jealousy tell you about what you truly desire in life?
It can also signal a scarcity mindset. Thinking someone else's success takes away from yours.
Right. The author felt jealous of best-selling writers like they were stealing my piece of the pie. But often success isn't zero-sum. Cooperation can lead to abundance for everyone. Zig Ziglar. You can have everything in life you want if you will just help other people get what they want. Success is not a limited resource.
And relationship jealousy often links back to self-esteem.
Very much so. Feeling your partner will cheat or leave often comes from feeling not good enough and needing them to complete you. Trying to control them, checking phones, testing them, comes from that deep insecurity. The solution lies in building your own self-worth.
And the final point on jealousy. Stop comparing yourself.
Yes. Comparison is often counterproductive and biased. We see others' highlight reels, not their struggles. Vernon Howard's quote about secret sorrows. We compare our worst to their best, or unfairly compare ourselves to multiple people at once. The only useful comparison: your today's self with your yesterday's self.
Okay, let's touch on non-clinical depression. How is this defined?
As occurring when you're not where you want to be in life, you have lost any hope to ever be and can't accept it. It can follow major negative events, job loss, illness, divorce, bereavement, or build slowly from dwelling on the past or worrying constantly about the future.
And the book suggests it's an active process, not just something that happens to you.
Controversial, maybe, but empowering. It argues depression is largely created by the negative thoughts you identified with. This means you have some responsibility, but never guilt, which also means you have the power to get out of it. David Reynolds' actively creating depression is cited as proof of concept.
And again, climbing the emotional ladder. Anger can be helpful here.
Yes. When deeply depressed, positive thoughts might not penetrate, but anger, while negative, has more energy. It's a step up. It can provide fuel to take action. Any emotion other than depression, the book suggests, can potentially help you move.
So using depression to grow means seeing it as a signal.
A signal that you've lost touch with reality, gotten too lost in your mind. It's an invitation to let go of the identity you've clung to, maybe unrealistic expectations about money, status, relationships. It urges you to reconnect with your body and emotions, get out of your head. Often, more thinking is seldom the solution.
What are some mediating strategies?
Reconnect with body emotions. Feel your way out. Don't just think. Exercise. Calms the mind, connects to body, boosts mood. Meditate. Observe thoughts, detach, reconnect to present activity. Keep busy to avoid rumination. Focus on others. Alfred Adler's advice: try to please someone else each day to shift focus off yourself.
But it acknowledges you won't feel like doing these things when depressed.
Absolutely. The key is taking things just one step at a time. Small actions build momentum. And always the caveat: severe depression likely needs professional help.
Okay, fear and discomfort, that anxiety when trying new things.
Yeah, fear of the unknown. Our brain loves routine. It feels safe, even if it's limiting. Most modern fears, the book argues, are threats only to our ego, not to our survival. Playing it safe avoids ego bruises but risks missing out on life and eventual regret.
What are some common fears listed?
Fear of rejection, fear of failure, often masking not good enough, fear of loss, fear of disturbing others, feeling unimportant, even fear of success, warning about pressure. Again, mostly ego-based.
So using fear to grow means seeing it as a signpost.
Often, yes. That fear of novelty frequently signals something you should do, an opportunity for personal growth. The fear is mostly in your mind. How often do we overcome a fear and realize what a fool we've been for worrying so much?
And successful people get comfortable being uncomfortable.
They learn to be. They push their comfort zones. Think about learning to drive terrifying at first, routine now. The book quotes the law of nature. Things either grow or die. Humans stagnate outside the growth zone, Benjamin Franklin. Some people die at 25 and aren't buried until 75. Ouch.
So courage isn't lack of fear.
It's taking action despite the fear. David Goggins' 40% rule: you always have more in the tank than you think. Face fear regularly. It builds courage. The exercise. What one thing have you been procrastinating on due to fear? Do it. Feel the reward.
Which leads perfectly to procrastination itself, an emotional issue, the book says.
Largely emotional, yes. Not just about time management hacks. Managing your emotions is key. Why do we procrastinate? Task is boring, unimportant, too hard, fear of failure, maybe just habit, but fear is the main reason, often linked to self-esteem or lack of self-discipline.
Using procrastination to grow means recognizing it's about believing your mind's excuses too much.
Becoming its slave, yeah. The costs are huge. Not living your potential, unfulfilled dreams, low self-esteem, guilt. The reminder: you are not your mind or emotions. You can choose to ignore the excuses and act anyway.
The book has a 16-step process. Let's hit a few key ones. Understanding hidden reasons.
Yeah. Identify the real reason: fear, difficulty, lack of motivation. Then find a solution. Delegate, eliminate, reframe, break it down, or just start. Also, remind yourself of the costs of procrastinating, direct and indirect, how it makes you feel.
And just starting. The 5-minute rule.
Crucial. Often just beginning breaks the inertia and leads to flow. Commit to only 5 minutes. Remove the pressure. Use the 5-second rule again. Act before your mind kills the impulse.
Okay, finally. Lack of motivation. Usually a sign of.
No compelling vision. People with exciting goals they genuinely care about rarely like motivation for long. They bounce back. The word enthusiastic comes from Greek meaning filled with the divine, being in touch with your essence, your purpose.
Like Nobel laureates still working. They have purpose.
Exactly. They don't retire bored. The book argues you don't inherently lack motivation. You're just not doing what you're supposed to do. It's a signal to design a life more in line with who you are.
Leveraging strengths, personality, preferences.
Know your strengths. Doing things you suck at kills motivation. Find what you're good at. Positive feedback builds pride. Know your personality, introvert, extrovert needs, core values impact career choices.
And know what really motivates you, the deep why.
Absolutely. Goals need emotional resonance. Ask why repeatedly. Why lose weight? To feel healthier. Why? To have more energy. Why? To play with your kids. Find the feeling. Also, ask why you don't want to do it. What habits or stresses are blocking you?
And accept that motivation fluctuates. Discipline matters.
Totally normal to feel uninspired sometimes. That's where systems, self-discipline, and self-compassion come in. Build discipline through daily routine and small, consistent goals. Act even when motivation is low.
Feeling stuck often comes from open loops. Too many unfinished things.
Or procrastinating on one major task, yeah. The 3-step unstuck process. 1. List all task projects. 2. Identify one big one you've been avoiding. 3. Just complete that one task. Build momentum. Close those open loops.
Wow. We've covered a massive amount of ground. As we wrap up this deep dive into master your emotions, what's the absolute core insight to leave people with?
I think it comes back to that fundamental truth. Your emotions, all of them, the good, the bad, the ugly, they come and they go. They're temporary visitors, energy and motion. But the most profound realization is that you are not your emotions.
You're the witness, the thing that remains when the feeling fades.
Exactly. You are what witnesses these emotions, and they are here to serve you, to guide you. If you can learn to listen to their messages without getting swept away by them, that's where the power lies.
So here's our final provocative thought for you, our listener. If emotions truly are temporary and you are the constant, the witness, what incredible freedom does that unlock?
What possibilities open up when you realize you are fundamentally beyond emotions, not permanently defined or burdened by their spell? When you know you can observe them, learn from them, and then let them go.
What will you choose to create when you truly understand that?
Thanks for tuning in to the Book Summary Podcast. If you found value in today's episode, hit that like button, subscribe for more summaries, and share it with someone who's ready to grow. Want deeper insights, exclusive book notes, and reading tips? Join our free newsletter. The link's in the description. And don't forget, if you'd like to read the full book, our affiliate link is right below. It helps support the channel and keeps the summaries coming. Until next time, keep reading, keep growing.